All right, welcome to our community call, December 5th, 2023. I have one line item in the agenda, but if anyone wants to raise anything, feel free to add it in there. It's no problem to talk about it. I see in the backlog, there's one from David Martin with respect to POC community engagement. I know Dave was unavailable earlier today, so I'm guessing he may not be up to talk about this one, so we might look to defer that to another call. Yeah, so I can just move on to my own topic then, and that's with respect to the contributors guide. So I've, in the last few days, just been working on a contributors guide based off the template that was provided to us from CNCF folks internally at Red Hat. One of the things in the template, there is a section with a heading called find an issue with respect to someone who is new to the project that's coming along that wants to try and contribute to the project. The idea behind it is that there should be a link that directs users to a view or a board or something along those lines that will list out all good first issues in the project so that they could potentially take that on and tackle it as a first issue. So I guess just a couple of questions on this one. The first one really is, where should we direct contributors or end users to see these good first issues? So for example, I know that we're working on a new GitHub projects board that will become public soon. I'm wondering, do we want to add a view in there? Guy, I see you've added a line item there stating that we have a label for it. So yeah, I was aware of the label, all right, but I guess maybe we just need to have some sort of filter or a new view that will just list all issues with that specific label. Alex?
So yeah, I guess we could have this view, but I guess I'm also wondering, like, how would somebody come to say, hey, I want to contribute to something, right? I don't think it would necessarily be to Kuadrant as a whole, because that's the issue, right? And I know that, actually I didn't read the entire thing, I should have had, but there are some templates for like multi-project, multi-repo projects or whatever, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess there could be technology stack stuff, right? Not everything is in Go. That's one. So that would be an angle. Like you could know maybe something about operators, but not about authentication or whatever. So I'm not having against a unified view, but I feel like having a lump of things where you see like all the good first issue across all the projects is probably also going to be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I guess it all comes down to how many good first issues we have, but perhaps we could break it down where you have the individual components listed in a single view so that people can filter it accordingly. One thing I guess to mention is that this is just one section of a wider contributors guide. So there will be a lot of other additional information for people to get started. This is just specific to, hey, if you're looking to find an issue, here's where you go to take a look.
Yes, I would logically say that it should be in the quadrant level project. Just one tab of that project, we can just pre-filter it with good first issues. And I give away the key.
I see you linked a view in one of those projects, and first I don't know. Yeah, first I don't know if that is open to the public or not, and second, there's something flawed.
Just an example.
Okay, because that only returns one single issue, while
yes,
for sure we have dozens of those already tagged with that same label.
Okay, then I just set it up right now while Paul was talking, so maybe I didn't set it up incorrectly. So, but yeah, sure.
Okay. For example, I've just pasted one in the chat of the ones we have in Arduino, right? And I know multiple of them are maybe it's the project, right? Because those are associated mainly to the Quadrant Search Protection project. And you created a view in the Quadrant project, right?
Well, but that's the org level project, so that should contain all.
No, not by default.
No, sadly, that's not how this works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that new board, didn't we set it up like that? Anyway, sorry.
I think the like that you're implying doesn't exist. So the answer is no. It'd be great if it did. No, it's mostly, I guess, me and Guy that go around and assign issues to the board, to the project every time.
Yeah, manually.
Okay.
You can get around that through workflows, but I think you need to have an enterprise plan in order to avail of it. Okay, so I guess I'm not hearing any major objections to the concept or the idea of having it. As to how we implement it, I guess we can figure that out on a separate call. But yeah, really, as I said, I'm just putting together the contributors guide, and I just want to have some sort of placeholder link for now. I can omit this for now and just get the guide merged, and then we can come back to it at some point. But I just wanted to put in this group first. Guy?
Oh, I think I already got my answer. I was about to ask if that having that one board or whatever view of all the particular issues would also come together with reviewing all the contributors guide that we have across all the different repos. But I think that is the main issue here, right? And the good first issue view is just one bullet point within that bigger effort of the contributors guide, right?
Right, exactly. And my idea was the contributors guide would be listed from the website, but as you'd mentioned, we could have specific contributors guides for each of the individual components, and we could ultimately link out to the generic contributors guide. So I guess the one on the website is going to be quite high level. And if there's anything domain specific we want to include, we can just include that in our repositories and just have a link out to the website as well.
Okay, nice. I would advise for whoever is engaged in this, also try to review the ones that we have in the repos, because I think that also gives an extra interesting thing, which is all the community flags in GitHub, right? For the each individual project. So if we have the contributors guide and license file, all those files related to community, later on they are flagged and they give us kind of badges in GitHub. So I'll make sure that we have those covered and maybe gather those things into one single theoric level, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, and the same applies for the code of conduct, and that's something else that's on my to-do list once this is in place. Alex?
Yeah, so quickly rereading to the whole thing. So CLA and all that stuff, like that's a requirement, and we will have to DCO, and is this something we'll have to implement throughout like all the things, or?
That is a good question. I'm not sure about CLA. I guess it's something we'll need to figure out when we're progressing our CNCF efforts, but I guess that would be separate to the contributors guide, right? Well, sorry, I appreciate it would probably be part of the contributors guide if we implement it, but at least an initial draft of the contributors guide in the website doesn't necessarily have to have that.
No. Well, I can totally see that. We can skip it for now. I guess my question was more, is it something that we need to address before that happens? Though I'm sure we have stuff in place, right? We didn't read that to facilitate that. Be crazy if we don't. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. We do have on the community section of our website today, we have like a mini couple of paragraphs for a contributors guide and how you can get started. This is just an expansion on that in a separate page. But yeah, I guess there's other areas that we need to try and consider over the next few weeks as well, CLA included.
One slightly related question is, am I fucking something up by actually adding those good first issues to the project Kuadrant manually in batch?
Manually in batch, that last bit scares me. Do you mean like, do you go through issues? And
No,
Sorry,
I just like, for example, I just went limitador and I selected all the issues with good first issue and I added them all to Quadrant project. That's pretty fast, pretty quick, but I'm just want to make sure that I'm not doing something that I looked at the other views that still look the same. So that doesn't seem to do anything bad for us, but just wanted to make sure.
No, but thanks for the heads up. Like minor thing, maybe for me, that I will need to change one thing in my thing, that my tool that scans all
Right.
the unassigned issues now, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Like they can all be assigned to that. There's like more stuff
Okay.
that I can use. But if you start adding more labels, mostly the target one and or milestones, that I doubt you do, but like then
No, I won't.
please tell me, because that
Right.
would otherwise screw my.
Okay. And follow-up question, is it kind of true that and every time we create an issue, we should just add it to the Quadrant board as project as well, so they become visible there potentially, or not true?
Yes, my answer is I think they should, but that's part of the discussion that we have not had like for 2 weeks now. We're
Right.
trying to sort that
Okay.
out. But my answer as of today would be yes. So that's why on that board that nobody, not part of the org, but we have nobody that's not part of the org on this call at the very least. That there is the orphan view that actually is trying to tell you, but even for that stuff to appear in there, right? That's why I was saying the target stuff and whatnot, right? I
Okay.
think everything relates at the very least to a version that eventually will be shipped with something that's part of Quadrant. So as such, tracking everything there, I think makes sense, even though, yes, something could ship, say, in Limitador that is not leveraged or made available for people to leverage directly through Quadrant. But it would be released with the new Limitador version that maybe contains something else, right? So I think it makes sense for everything to appear on that board, whatever. That's my reasoning behind this.
Okay. Any other thoughts or feedback on this topic? All right. So yeah, I'll push ahead with it. We'll have following discussions in any case to figure it out.
Well, one thing that would be nice, maybe, and I think like we had done that in the past, maybe come up with a spreadsheet or whatever, and like see maybe what's already in place. Like signing your commits, I think it's a requirement on some repos, but not necessarily on all of them, and things like that. And yeah, just because if you want to do that org level contributors guide, we probably need to at the very least get to a common agreement, minimal common agreement, like on all the repos, right? So I guess that might help.
Yep. So I have a draft pull request in that contains the first draft of the higher level contributors guide. But yeah, we can probably have the discussion there and try to flesh things out in more detail. All right, cool. Any other topics that people want to discuss?
Sorry, I'm going to add one thing. Because it did me in the past, like the CLA is probably an important one to sort of figure out because it is linked to an email address. So obviously you can rewrite all your commits with a different email address if you need to, but it's a bit of a pain. And that would be another thing that if we want to implement that, it's nice that people know that up front. You know, again, to keep the bar very low, to do like, it would be sad to have like a comment that just go, oh, you know what, screw this, not doing this. So I guess finding an answer to whether we need to have that or not might be good.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take an action to follow up on that one. Just ping a few folks about it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other topics that people want to discuss? I'll take silence as a no. We can leave it there then. Thanks all.
Cheers.